All right, well, welcome to Paradigm Shifters. We are so excited. Let's take a deep breath into June 2021.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. June 2021. Let's breathe in the fact that we are alive. We are aliving and thriving. And welcome, Paradigm Shifters. We are a global community, Koby, of people dedicated to the shift and uplift.
Yes.
Shift and uplift, shift and uplift. And right now, as of last week, we're over 1,000 strong, 26 countries.
Congratulations, Judy.
Oh, it's the world. It's global shifting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So it's my super pleasure in the month of June what I decided was to invite my male friends to I this energy of June and the very first, like, who can I get to kick off June? Who can we get to kick off June? And I'm like, oh, Koby. And I'm not, my Israel's been on the news, and I'm like, I called, I'm like, how are you doing? And we started to talk, and I'm like, come, you really, I mean, we need to hear your story. And Koby is, there's a little bit about Koby. One, he's one of my dearest, dearest friends. We've had many adventures together, right? Some of them we
Yes.
won't mention here, right? In Washington, D.C., in California, all over the United States. Koby is the founder of Modern Day Millionaire. Anybody interested in that? and Koby been consulting and an actor. And Koby is from Israel and currently lives in Jersey City, New Jersey. And
Right.
Koby, do you still live in that where you look out at the Statue of Liberty?
Yes. Yes. They are building all around us. So soon it's going to be a view from the past, but I can see the Statue of Liberty from my bedroom. Yes. In the winter,
No.
because summertime we have trees, but yes, we can.
Well, thank you for being here. Well, what I would like, and our topic today is the simplicity of the law of vibration. And I'm just going to
Yes, it is.
also, if you could tell us a little bit about how, maybe a little bit about you, where you grew up, how you grew up, and how you discovered this, and just take it away. And yeah, I'll pop in and ask questions.
Sure. Sure. I'd like to say that I was born into an agreement that I had no part in making. My parents grew up during the 30s, the 40s, and they grew up into a depression. And of course, that created their state of mind and state of belief. My dad's dad was killed when he was 13. So he basically grew up in the streets, raising his family at 13, and with all that it means growing up in the depression as a single kid, with all the beliefs that come to you when there's nothing around you and you have to fight for your existence. And this is the agreement that I was born into, the agreement that my parents made with their reality of how things should happen and how things should be. Fast forward, I did my high school. I went to the Army for 4 years, and I'm finding myself, now what? I noticed that a lot of my friends were successful, people that I thought always to be stupid, and how did they make it? And I decided to move to the United States of America because the grass is always greener in the United States of America, just to find myself working 24 hours, 7, literally day job, night job. And it went on like this for a while. And at some point I needed to start understanding why am I not getting to the dreams that I have, and why others can? What's wrong with me? And so I was led to a metaphysical church at the time called Unity in New York City. And Eric and Olga Butterworth started that church in the Lincoln Center. It's a unity-based church. And what I heard over there really blew me away, because I grew up in Israel. And in Israel, what you know about the Bible, which you know very well, because from first class until you finish high school, you're supposed to learn, like it's part of the curriculum. It's the Jewish state. You study the Bible. You know every question that you want, and of course, when you're being tested at the end of the semester or the year, so basically they ask you how many times did the Israelites circle the walls of Jericho before they fell. So there's a lot of information, but there was none of the metaphysical. Okay. Why would God have the Israelites steps onto the Red Sea up to their noses before he parted the water? Now we know. Now we know that, if you want to move forward, you have to plot unfamiliar territories. Like we all seen the where is it, like Indiana Jones. You get to the end of the mountain, you see fire underneath, and it's not until he takes the first step that the invisible stair appears. And so I was very much attracted to the teaching of the metaphysical aspect of the Bible. And it led me to study metaphysical in general. And of course, I was led to the invisible laws. Now, what I'm talking about is not new. Like Murphy did not invent Murphy's law. He just named a phenomenon that was here all these years. And we know what Murphy's law is. We know that, the mind, which is this electronic switching station, all it does is constantly seeking to support its thinking and its belief. And whatever thought you put in, it immediately brings more. So if you have some bad thing happen in the morning, the whole morning is shot. Murphy's law. Again, now we know we can break it down piece by piece through the law of vibration, to the law of attraction, to the way that the mind works, and we really know what it is. So I needed to find out. I took a deep dive into how things happening. As I said, I was very familiar with the Bible, but I didn't know about the invisible laws. I didn't know about the metaphysical part of things, how things happen. And this is where I discovered the whole science of thinking, technology of thinking, the science of mind, how the mind works. And with that, the more I understood, the more I was able to reflect on decisions that I made prior to learning how it actually happened. And then instead of like Mary says, creating by default, I started to create by design. And but okay, so this is a little bit about me. Now, what exactly you want me to dive into? Because I can talk until.
Oh, this is beautiful, beautiful, and just keep going, because I think people know the law of attraction, but it's really a law of vibration, and
The law
how.
of attraction, exactly, is a secondary law.
Yes. So when can you give us an example of when you, Koby, have used the law of vibration, maybe the first time, and then how maybe you're using it right now?
Okay, so first thing first, let me break it down to you. the whole topic of invisible laws is very, very simple. It sounds grandiose, but it's very, very simple. And when we understand that there are things that happen and we really don't need to know why, if I let go of my phone, it's going to fall because it obeys the law of gravity. It's nothing to do with my being good enough, bad enough, tall, whatever. It's a law. And the same thing that we have this law, invisible law, because you cannot see the law of gravity, but you can experience what happens. Same thing with electricity. And these are obsolete. Nobody gonna challenge me that this law of gravity does not exist because you cannot see the law. Okay? So with that said, the fundamental law is really the law of vibration. Everything around us and in us vibrates with no exception. It starts with living things such as human beings, my dog, my plants, my table, everything around us, rocks, they vibrate. They do not emit the same level of vibration, obviously, but nonetheless, they do. And not only that vibrates, but also the invisible realm, meaning thoughts, feelings, they vibrate too. And the vibration that it produces emits frequency. And frequency by law always attract each other. If I'm going to go to my radio and go to 107.5 FM, I'm going to only hit WBLS here in New York. Nothing else, because I tune to the frequency, and whatever it is on this frequency that vibrates, no matter how many miles it is, will reach it. Same thing with our thoughts. Emmett Fox called it mental equivalency. You know, we see somebody for the first time. We never said a word to each other. We didn't even look at each other, but we already have some kind of a feeling and a pre-notion about this woman or man. And how do we know that? We know that because there's some kind of disturbance between the frequency of our thoughts and values that circulates on one level and the frequency that the beliefs and thoughts and the ideas of the other person are. Okay? I always say that it's hard for me to see an astronaut marrying a postal service worker, with all due respect. Not that they're bad or somebody better than the other. It's not about being better than the other. It's about the level of thinking and depth and the consistency of who they are that vibrates differently when the gentleman or woman that manifested this behind the counter giving, and they can be the most beautiful woman on the earth. I mean, by all means, I love manual worker because I've been manual worker for all my life. So no disrespect there. But the point is that the level of thinking does not match. It's different. Of course, it gets even more accentuated if the other person is really into crazy stuff. You know, if they're into doing illegal things, if they may be into hate, they may be in fighting with us. So this is yet another, how do you call it, shortcut that it won't happen. And this is how we initially, without even knowing, developing closeness to a person we never met.
Right. Well, can you give us an example of when when you I when you have used the law of vibration and manifested, I also call you the master manifester. And can you every time I turn around, like, where, what have you manifested now? And tell me how you personally have used it. Maybe give us some examples.
I've,
Um,
I've, I've, I've manifested quite a lot by design and by default. Um, I know that today I'm much more aware, knowing how things happen. So let me break it down. So we know that the law of vibration claims that everything around us vibrates. People, things, thoughts, ideas, they vibrate on different levels. So I'm trying to use only positive terms
oh,
because I I don't want to it's important to use positive terms when we're discussing situation with ourselves. Okay,
right. Yeah.
instead of like I don't like to say be careful of because it's a lot. But the point is this: the law of attraction claims that two things. We just covered it. I didn't call it the law of attraction, about the attraction of frequency that things emit. Okay, this is how things attracted to us, through sending a vibration and allowing it. The things that I found out through the years that stops or holds the law of attraction is any thought that doesn't feel comfortable to us in that regard. I would love to have this new house by the river. Oh, I can see myself in the family, but I don't know how can I get it? I don't have enough money. Maybe when we start the negotiation. You remember, I think that everybody on this call is in the age that can relate to that. I remember when TV first started, at least in my countries in the late 60s, my dad would send me on the roof and I would turn the antenna to catch the broadcast. And he would go, okay, stop. And if I move a little too much, go back. Oh, too much, go back. And what happened is when we align with our desire, it's clear. We know the mind automatically goes and just aim for what it is that we want without interruption. There are no ripples. But the minute we start introducing ripples, we are turning this antenna away from wherever it is that you're receiving, and the vision is blurry.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to keep readjusting. Now, the important about this work, thing about this work is the same fashion. You don't say, "Oh, I don't need to eat today because I ate 2 days ago." No, you have, or we have, to continuously be aware, thinking, be reminded, and talk about this way that things happening to us. So we always in check. We always making sure that the thoughts that we are emitting not bringing us reality that is not in harmony with what it is that we really want, or it's not in harmony at all with who we are.
Yeah.
Fear and doubts has no room in creation. This is when we move things away. And things are working even in our ignorance of it. Case in point.
So I know that you manifested something recently by design. You were telling me the other day. Would you mind telling us how you designed this?
Yes, actually, I'm going to
I
start with
that,
without the design. I'm going to start by default, and then I'm going to move to the design.
yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah, design or default. Yeah.
Okay. So I love SUVs. I love SUVs. Don't ask me why. I'm a tall dude. I love to sit comfortable. I like to see ahead of me. I like to get off the road sometimes. I love SUVs. So I always had this Jeep. And just about maybe 7 years ago, I went and I got this new Jeep. I took at least for 3 years or maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I took this Grand Cherokee. It's a luxury Jeep. I'm all happy. 3 years pass. I have to return it because the lease expired. What do? So I go and I reserve another Jeep. I come home and my brother's telling me, well, I said, well, what? What did you get? I said, well, I ordered another Jeep. And they go, but you already had a Jeep. I said, I know, but I like the Jeep. I said, but you already had a Jeep. Why don't you go for the car you really like? About 6 months prior, one of the Supreme type of vehicles came out with a new SUV. So I said, I want to take it for a test ride. Knowing well that it's way above my budget, but I said, I want to feel what this one feels like.
Wow.
So I went with my partner, Carl, and we took this car for a road. Oh my God, heaven and earth. When I asked for the price, it was almost double what I was paying for the Jeep. So I thanked the guy so much, and I said, I'll think about it. Really? So before I leave, the guy said, oh, wait, why don't you take the brochure with you? So I took the brochure with me. I'm coming home, and when I designed this house, I thought it was going to be very, very clever to have the central air and heat by my bed. So when I'm laying down, I would have the airflow coming out. What a mistake. Because here on the East Coast, you have heat, it's so cold that you need to have heat blowing all winter, and it dries the air, and I have dry air coming right by my pillow here. So I would always look for something to put on top of the register so he won't send it out. And there was always a problem because the air is blowing, and the little magazines that I was getting, Architect Digest or whatnot, it was always too small. But guess what? This heavy brochure for the car was perfect. It was the right size. It was heavy enough, and it's right here. So what happens next? What happens next is that, unbeknownst to me, every time I go to sleep, what's the last thing that I see? Every time I wake up, what's the first thing that I see? Every time I wake up in the middle of the night, go pee-pee, what do I see? And this did not even occur to me about the overall story. So my brother said, why don't you go and see what it is that you really want? I said, fine. I went there and I said, the most I can pay for this car is $20 over the Jeep. What do I have to lose? I have 10 days until the new Jeep comes. So I'm going there and I'm meeting with them. And of course, the prices are astronomical, nothing that I can do. But I don't know why I was having so much time negotiating, so much good time negotiating, and they kept bringing me this espresso. So I said, you guys going to keep bringing me coffee until we reach some agreement. 4 hours later, they had enough of me. The manager is coming and they said, look, somebody left a deposit on this car, and he lost the deposit. While you're here, I called the guy and he cannot get the deposit back. Don't you know I left with a new car for the price of a Jeep? Now I'm an owner of a Jaguar that I never in my life thought I will have a Jaguar in my parking. And it was so obvious to me that all this mental work my mind did without even me knowing. So, so I said, oh my God, it's that simple. Let me do some more exercising.
I can't wait to ride in it. Yes. So I know you have one more story that.
No, I have quite a few stories.
Yeah, how about one more, and then I want to take us on a. Yeah, keep going. I have one. How about
okay?
One?
So
you have a good story because I know you just manifested something else.
So you're talking about Carnegie?
I'm talking about if you don't.
The house.
Your new home. Yes.
Okay. So the corona began, and it was clear to me that I don't want to live in the city anymore.
Oh, the virus, and you don't
Yeah.
want to live in New York anymore?
No, I don't want to live around New York. I live in Jersey City. Jersey City is the sixth borough. It's really, the traffic is ridiculous. It used to be a neighborhood of houses. I think me and two more guys have houses. Everything else is mega buildings right now. So
Yeah.
it was a village when I moved here after 9/11, and now it's a big city around me.
And you
And I
wanted
just got tired
something,
of it.
yeah, you
Yeah,
wanted something different. So,
yeah.
so tell me more. And I know so many things have happened in this last year as well,
Yes.
and are
So
currently happening. Yes.
exactly. So my partner and I said okay, if we were going to move, where would we want to live to? So we want to be by the equator. It's important for us to be on the Caribbean island. And then we decided, okay, so what would we want the house to be? So we started writing all these things, everything that we wanted. And I had my things, and all of a sudden Carl goes like, and I want a pool. And I goes, oh God, he's going to destroy my creation because I know we cannot afford a pool too. But then I say, you know what? Hold on. I caught myself fighting for limitations. And I said, hey, that's what he wants. I'll put a pool in there. So we came up with a list of about 22 items that was important for us. For instance, we don't want to be on the hurricane path. We don't want to have any connection flights, because if you get stuck in somewhere, at least you can go home. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, what are you going to do? And other things like I wanted to be able to rent it when I'm not around. Other things that are important for me are like gas cooking. I hate cooking with electric because I always mess it up. And I want to have parking. And I want a cheap construction in case I want to do renovations. Gated community is important for me. Parking, open floor plan. And we just pour in everything that we wanted. So the next thing that we did is we had 3 countries in mind. I wanted to be either in Costa Rica, in Mexico, the Caribbean side, or we boil it down to Dominican Republic. Okay, fine. So I contacted 3 realtors, and I told them, this is what I'm looking for. I'm sending an email with the list of the 22 items that we want. This is my price. What do you have? So it was very clear to us that Costa Rica is not going to happen because you have to fly 7 hours, and then you are 2 hours from the closest beach if you even can get there. So I said it's not what I want, because I want to be able to be close to home if I have to come back. Mexico next. But then there was something about the list that I said, I want to be in a tropical island because I want to be able to grow all my fruits and vegetables. And Mexico is a little bit dryish, to say the least. So here we are in Dominican Republic. We're getting there, and we decided to go for a week. And we really created, we went to work. Yes, it was fabulous, but we went to see houses. We made lists. We took pictures coming to the hotel every night. This I like, this I don't like, this is good, this is not good. And we would just go through it. The last day, we see in a home. And you know how you enter and you pause. There's something here. Sure enough, we ran into the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful homes in a price we were easily affording. And I remember when we got home that night, we said, okay, it's definitely up on the list. But when we got home that night, we took the list and we actually saw that each and every one of the 22 items that we had, they were in the house. And more things that I did not even plan, but I always liked. Like, for instance, in the master bathrooms, you have the wall and you have the floor, but they stopped the floor a little earlier. And over here you have river rocks, all the perimeter. This is something that I always loved, but who would ask for river rocks around? I'm not moving to the house unless you have river rocks in the master bath. So he had so many things that we wanted and we didn't even plan. They had a pool that changes colors at night. Like things that I didn't even think about. And it came fully furnished. So go ahead.
There you go. There's the law of vibration and action, and I know that we're gonna close up here, but I was wanted to just like to I know that it's like the simplicity of it is what you talked about at first. You know, all of the and then
The simplicity, when
it
I call
applies. You're using it. It has to be used.
the simplicity is remembering the principle is not hard. Your mind constantly seeking circumstances to support its thinking.
There you go. It's seeking the circumstances to support your thinking.
It's thinking.
Yeah,
If you think that everybody's just looking to me, well, okay, the mind don't care. He goes there.
right.
He's going to seek the spirit and the vibration that people that seek to you.
Well, great.
It's very simple.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This is all to be continued, and I want to ask one
Oh, I
last.
wanted to show you something before you move forward.
Oh, okay, okay.
Since where are we? Albums.
Oh, because
Same.
you did buy the house. You are moving. I know that.
Yeah. Well, I might as well show you what I'm talking about. That it exceeded
Oh.
my expectations.
Oh, hold that up again. Let me see. Oh.
Can you see?
Mm.
Can you see?
Yes.
Oh, good. And then I'll show you the back.
Oh.
And it has everything. It already has fruits and avocados and bananas and papayas, everything already in. And I didn't even have it on the list. All I wanted was a tropical island that I can grow fruit and vegetables.
Oh, manifestation.
So he came with a basket.
Well, thank you so much for all your stories and everything, and we're holding like your parent, your family, in total love. And what I would love to ask one more quick question before we quit is, what would you love to have us hold as our community for you, Koby? Because you're such a giver and a manifester. What would you love us as a community to hold for you and your family?
I tell you, if you think that as a manifester and as a truth seeker, I don't have sometimes dark nights, you're mistaken. I think I will always have the dark nights. So all I'm looking for is clarity and remembering or remembering these laws and how they work in my darkest moments. Meaning somebody passes me on the highway and he says, hello.
Well, let's do this. All right. So we go like this, and we're gonna send it all the way over to you, Koby.
Okay.
From California, Texas, everywhere, and all the countries, and we're gonna wish it. And all you have to do is to catch it. So we'll
Yes.
You ready? You get it? Yeah. There you go.
All of it. Yes.
So much, and we appreciate you. We bless you. And we behold the manifester that you are for your entire life and for all of us as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
There you go. All right.